before I dive in, I want to make something abundantly clear, and that's that if just because a broker is regulated, because that's the first criteria you should be looking at is regulation. When you're picking a broker, the first criteria you should be looking at is regulation. But just because the broker is regulated doesn't mean you're not going to lose money. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I've seen a lot of people in different communities will say, oh, the brokers are the reason why 90% of traders lose money, and brokers are bastards and whatever people say. But the reality is, especially if you look at this is the FSCA regulated brokers in South Africa. And what you'll notice actually is that even if you account for regulation, every trader has 79% of its traders losing money, right? So basically, not even breaking even, just losing money, all the money they deposit. FXTM, 83% of its traders lose money. Blackstone doesn't have any data. CM Trading has 73% of its brokers losing money. Hot Forex has 73%. IG has 76, 77 for FX Pro, and the list goes on. But what's also important is if you say you're going to pick a broker which has a lower percentage of its traders losing money, what you'll actually notice, what I've noticed through the data, is that the market makers actually have less clients losing money, believe it or not. If you look at the market makers, brokers, on the regulated market maker brokers, they have a lower percentage of their clients losing money. So that's like your XM traders, your JP markets, or okay, scratch JP markets, but like XM, for example. So I think market makers have always gotten a bad rap as trading against their clients, which realistically isn't quite true necessarily. But basically their models are based on taking the opposite trade. That doesn't mean they shift the market, right? Because then when people talk about market makers trading against you, they make it seem like they move the market against you, and that's not true. They just take the opposite position of whatever position you take. So, for example, if a trader here has 79% of its traders losing money, and it's a market maker, right? But it's also regulated in like four different regions. Does it mean it's a bad broker because it's a market maker? I don't think so. So, anyways, that's number one. So, number one is just because it's a regulated broker doesn't mean you're not going to lose money. Number two, just because it's a market maker doesn't mean you're not going to lose money. So, let's get into my top 10, my top five actually. And this isn't in any order. Number one that I've chosen to look at is XI Trader. I personally had an account with them since 2017. It's an Australian broker, so and they have a branch here in South Africa. They opened last year actually, so this is a good broker. If you, they have their spreads I noticed are a bit. They're not tight exactly. They're actually a bit expensive to be honest. Uh, let's just look at this. Let's start from the top. They claim to have an education section. I don't think there's much besides the basics there, so nothing impressive there. Um, then they have this course that they're selling. Well, they're selling on behalf of someone else. I don't know if you want to buy into it, you can. I wouldn't recommend it. Anyways, Psyquation is also really, really good. Psyquation basically is if you're looking for funding, Psyquation is a good software which they offer. And basically, you attach it to your live account. And if you're consistently profitable and you don't lose more than 10% per drawdown, they can give you money to trade. Ignore this price here because usually, if you're a client of theirs, you can have it for free and you can use the AI for free. Uh, Anything else which is impressive? I enjoyed how, well, I like how they have a low minimum deposit. I don't know if I'll find it here, but basically they have a low minimum deposit, pretty much as low as you want. It's pretty low. That's also interesting. They allow crypto trading, quite recently they've allowed crypto trading, which is also quite interesting. So yeah, Psyquation is good. Trading resources, it's just like blog posts and market reviews, which I think is quite informative, especially on the weekends when you have nothing to do. It's good to check out their trading resources. Let's look at that. And they also have this dividend forecast schedule for your CFDs indices. It's quite interesting. But anyways, this is number one on my list. Not to say it's the best. I'll get to the best just now. XM, although it's a market maker, it's my main broker. It's the one I use. The deposits and withdrawals are quick. I've never really had much of a problem with deposits or withdrawals with them. They also give great credit, right? So their bonuses are really, really good. And yeah, their spreads at 11 o'clock are crazy, absolutely ridiculous. But other than that, it's a good broker. Actually, this broker, FXCM, um, FSCA, the regulation in South Africa, actually noted that XM has the highest client retainership, meaning most of its clients who open accounts with them stick with them. So that's important to note. Even though they're a market maker and people hate market makers, it doesn't explain why most people who open an account with them stick with them, right? So it's a good broker. And then my favorite personally is Tickmill. It's a UK company. Its spreads are a bit high for some pairs. I've noticed um, minimum deposit is 100. As you can see, 1.6. It's quite high. But this is a good broker. I don't know if they're an ECN, but for sure they're regulated. Great broker. I had an account with them, but I closed it because I was having troubles with withdrawals, especially if you're not in the UK. You'll have some troubles withdrawing with them, but it's a good broker to be honest. And I think they give opening no deposit. Yes, so they give you $30 when you open an account with them. You don't have to deposit anything. They just give you starting capital. Um, Next broker, FXCM. If you're looking for ECN broker, say you have $100, $200 you want to deposit, and you're looking for an ECN broker, the closest you'll get is FXCM, simply because they're not a market maker, from what most people know. They get their quotes from liquidity providers, various liquidity providers, all these banks, um, Morgan Stanley, Deutsche Bank, Citibank, Citadel Securities. So they aren't market making. That's a good thing. They're not trading against you. But also remember, with ECN brokers, slippage is very, very high, meaning when you're trying to close your account, trying to close a trade, it may be quite difficult for you to immediately close it. And so if you're more of a scalper or day trader, or you have a big trade or position, you will lose a bit of money on the slippage when you're closing your trades. So you'll lose maybe up to $50, $80 if it's a big account, big positions. That's one drawback. Another drawback is that some of these banks have recently been accused of manipulating the rand price. Go check out the current commission case that was opened here in South Africa. That some of these liquidity providers were actually manipulating the rand price. But all in all, FXCM is the closest you'll get to an ECN broker. I've actually never come across someone who's had a problem with FXCM. They're a great broker, to be honest. Last one, AvaTrade. AvaTrade is a good broker. It has great educational material. I won't lie to you. Great educational material. Their platform is great. They also have a high deposit amount, minimum deposit account. It's quite high, and I think the reason is because they want you to deposit when you've actually had some good education and you know what you're doing. So it's a great broker. They are actually the sponsors for Manchester City, and yeah, they have strategies, education material. I enjoyed their education material. It's actually really good. All in all, this is a great broker. I'd put it tie with Tickmill. So my favorite would be Tickmill and AvaTrade. Those are the best ones, I think. I mean, all of them are great. FXCM is absolutely amazing. If you're looking for a fair broker, these top five, you'll do okay. If you pick one of those top five, you'll do okay.